Singing competitions or talent shows, series that have changed the lives of many artists who have gone on to build successful careers such as Kelly Clarkson, Little Mix, Carrie Underwood, and more. There's also been successful artists who have gone on those competitions but did not win, but still came out as winners, such as Adam Lambert, One Direction, Jennifer Hudson, and more, proving you don't always have to win to be victorious. And on the topic of winning and losing in competitions, there's also been successful singers who have auditioned for these type of shows but didn't make it far, getting cut off even before reaching the live broadcast for many to see. However, while most would probably decide to give up, these successful people did not let rejection stop them, and eventually they did make it by doing it another way. Which brings me to today's video, where I'll be talking about successful singers who have gotten rejected from a competition and still found success another way, starting with Marin Morris. Known for her hits such as The Middle with Zedd and Grey and The Bones. Before the success, while trying to make it into the industry, at the age of 16 or 17 in Dallas, Texas, Marin auditioned for American Idol. When recalling the experience, she mentioned how you don't get to audition for the judges on the first go. You actually have to go through a cattle call to audition first, which is filled with thousands of people. When it was her turn to audition, it was for 20-year-old producers who to her seemed did not have experience in music knowledge. But she went ahead and sang the 10 seconds she had to try to win them over, singing Sweet Thing by Chaka Khan. And while she did do great in the audition, unfortunately she got rejected, which being a teen at the time, it did hurt her confidence. In other interviews, she also mentioned auditioning for America's Got Talent, The Voice, and other competitions, but those also ended in rejection. However, while things didn't go as she planned, she kept on going, and after some time, she did make it through, becoming a successful singer as well as a Grammy Award winner for Best Country Solo Performance for her song, My Church. Now, when reflecting on those times, in an interview she did on the Late Night Show with Seth Meyers on September 2019, she said that the poetic justice of this whole thing is that now people like to audition with her songs on the show, which she gets paid for. And in another interview she did on the Harold Stern Show back in 2013, when talking about this, she felt lucky that they said no because she wasn't ready to be in the limelight and didn't even know what type of music she actually wanted to make, and probably as a teen, being in the industry, it would have been a nightmare for her without knowing how to handle it. Cala. Before having hits like Bubbly, Falling For You, and Lucky with Jason Mraz, she auditioned for American Idol twice as a teen with her song Bubbly, the same song that would become a hit years later, peaking at number 5 on the US Billboard Hot 100 charts. However, she didn't get far during the audition process. When speaking about her experience, Colby did say that she later on realized she wasn't ready and she just needed more time to work on herself to get over her stage fright. Rexel. From writing and co-writing songs for other artists like The Monster by Eminem featuring Rihanna, All Hands on Deck by Tinashe, Like a Champion by Selena Gomez, and having success as an artist with hits like Meant to Be with Florida Georgia Line, Me, Myself and I with G-Eazy, and more. Not to mention being Grammy nominated. In the beginning, when trying to pursue a music career before stardom, auditioned for American Idol but got turned down, which on March 2018, when BB was going to be a mentor on the show, she posted a tweet reflecting her time when auditioning that read, 10 years ago, my mother and I waited 10 hours online to audition for American Idol. I didn't make it through. This year I'm mentoring. Holmes. Years before being a household name with hits like Fast Car, Forever After All, Even Though I'm Leaving, and more, Luke was a guy who had a love for music and wanted to try to pursue this and making it a reality. In 2022 on the Shots Podcast Network, he opened up about his journey when auditioning for The Voice. After waiting for hours, Luke's group of 10 was finally called to an area of 10 rooms with producers in each one so they can sing. He sang Save Room by John Legend. At first it seemed he didn't make the cut, but right before he was leaving, they did tell him that he did make it and just to stay for the next edition. So for his second edition, he did tell them that he wanted to sing a country song. And when recalling this moment, he remembered wondering, so you want me to sing one kind of music when this show is about being a singer. So after the audition, he got a letter back that basically said he was a really great singer but too boring for TV. This is a show and there needs to be entertainment value and they need to be able to tell a story, which they felt that he didn't really have one. Which to Luke that no, it felt validating for him because being told that he was a great singer, he already felt that he was doing something right. Fast forward to 2025, during an interview with 60 Minutes Australia, when recalling the letter, he admitted that yeah, it was a show and that maybe he would have rejected himself as well if he was on the other side. He also added that that no was probably one of the best things that ever happened to him because it probably saved him for a completely different path that would not have led him to the one that he is on now. Nia Rivera. Although Nia hadn't planned to audition for American Idol, it was her father who encouraged her, believing it would be her big break. When speaking about the experience during a March 2013 episode of The Talk, she shared Singing Emotion by the Bee Gees. Unfortunately, she did not make it past the first round, but what's interesting about this whole thing is that when she auditioned for Glee, she sang that same song and got that role for the show, which became her big break after years of doing different acting roles. Anthony Ramos. Years before being a part of Hamilton on Broadway, In the Heights and more, Anthony had tried out to be on The Voice in New York. When talking about his experience to Reba McEntire, being a mentor for her team on The Voice, he revealed singing Green Light by John Legend, which happened to be one of his favorite songs. After getting rejected, he recalled one of the producers advising him, saying that he needed to work on his breathing for a year and then come back. So fast forward, when reflecting about it to Reba now, being a mentor on The Voice, having the success, he said it's been a journey and that he hopes it all means that he had something to say that was helpful to the aspiring artists on her team. Kain Brown. After seeing what American Idol did for Lauren Elena, who was a friend of his from high school, Kain wanted to give it a shot and try to audition, but IO rejected him, saying that they didn't need another Scotty McQueary. So later on, he decided to try X Factor. When explaining to Billboard what had happened, he said he quit because they wanted to put him in a boy band. So he went home and Kain just decided to just have his own American Idol and began sharing his own original music along with covers on YouTube. Years later, it led to a successful career, having hit songs like Heaven, Miles on It with Marshmello and more. Hillary Scott. Known for being in the country Grammy Award winning group Lady A, which at the time was called Lady Antebellum, that had hits like Need You Now, I Run to You, Just a Kiss and more. Before the success, she auditioned for American Idol twice but got no's on both tries. When asked about it during an interview with HLN, Hillary mentioned shedding some tears, knowing that she didn't perform at her best since she was so nervous because she had never done any kind of audition like that before. She then explained how she had no regrets or hard feelings about the show, especially when Lady A eventually did go on American Idol to perform years later, which felt pretty validating for her standing up there. Another thing that she shared is that after all that, she was close to getting signed to a record label, but that didn't work out, which was in March 2006, and it was that same year in May that she met Charles and Dave, which led to Lady A. Now before I get to the last three, here are two honorable mentions: Chrissy Metz and Mary Lambert. Tori Kelly. While already on the grind to make it as a singer at a very young age, competing in different competitions like Star Search, and even being signed to a label at age 12 but being dropped, during this time as she continued to move forward, not giving up, at age 16, Tori had auditioned for American Idol Season 9, singing Gravity by John Mayer, and while the judges thought she was amazing, Simon Cowell did not.
Sorry, I don't think so at all. I thought your voice was almost annoying.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Despite that, she did make it through onto the show. Unfortunately, her time was cut short and she didn't make it onto the top 24. So it was during this time, being disappointed on the results, that led Tori to take matters into her own hands and start uploading videos on YouTube, which was a part in her finding the door needed to become a successful musician, working with Ed Sheeran, Max Martin, as well as being a Grammy Award winner, and even going back to American Idol as a mentor years later. Amber Riley. Known for her breakthrough role as Mercedes Jones on the hit show Glee, where she got to show her singing and acting talent, But before getting into the industry, at just 17, she auditioned for American Idol in San Francisco, a trip that included her mother, dad, and sister. After waiting for hours, when it was her time to sing to the producers, she sang Sweet Theme by Chaka Khan. However, while it did go well, they did turn her down, leaving her devastated because of earlier other rejections that she had already received. So after some years had passed, regaining her confidence, she started doing open mics again, going back on the grind, pushing through, until eventually she did get her big break, which was Glee. That led to more opportunities and even being nominated for Pop Performance by a duo or group with vocals at the 2011 Grammys. Now when looking back in an interview she did with Distractify, published on July 2021, she explained how she sees that note totally different now. I feel that it was completely necessary. There's a moment in your life that comes where you're going to have to figure out if this is what you really want to do. I always say that it was a no. I needed to know that this is what I'm going to go after for the rest of my life. Chappell Roan. Before Chappell became known for hits like Ping Pong Club, Good Luck Babe, and even winning the Grammy for Best New Artist, during her journey of grinding for years to make it as a singer, there was a time as a teen that Chappell had tried to audition for The Voice and America's Got Talent, an experience that Chappell talked about in an interview with W Magazine, released on April 30th, 2025. When I auditioned for The Voice, I was 15 and I sang Stay by Rihanna. That was when the Bruno Mars song When I Was Your Man was really big, and I thought I was so unique in switching it around and singing When You Were My Man and making it about gender, but every girl was like, I'm switching it around. By the way, when I did the voice audition, the producer or whoever the fuck was watching did not even look up from his phone. He was like, okay, next. And I went up there and sang a cappella, the scariest thing ever. He never really looked at me. With America's Got Talent, I was 13 and we flew to Austin, Texas, and I waited in line with thousands of people at 4 a.m. I sang True Colors by Cyndi Lauper, did not make it either. Another thing to know is that Chappell, at age 17, she did get signed to a label but got dropped. There was a point where she had to move back in with her parents to save some money. She ended up moving back to LA and she was just grinding, trying to make it. 2024 was definitely a big year for her. Like eventually it did work out and the hard work paid off. What I like about hearing these stories of all these different artists that tried out to be on these competitions where it can change your life and it didn't work that way for them, and they didn't even make it, some of them, to, you know, the judges where we see it broadcasted on TV. They kept going. They're like, okay, then I'll go on YouTube. Okay, then I'll try out for this. And eventually they did find their way and they made it into the industry and had a successful career. And I think this is also a good reminder just not to give up. So what are your thoughts on this list? Did any of the people that I mentioned surprise you that they did try out to be on one of these competitions? And if so, which ones? Which you can share down below in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and also subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you later.